Buying a drone can be a very difficult decision, especially these days because there's so many different drones. There's so many different capabilities and so many different options. And so you really have to do your research before you decide how to spend that money. And so I'm guessing you're here because you're researching the Skydio 2. Now, I've been flying the Skydio 2 for about 3 weeks and I've tested out everything that it can do. And I think I'm ready to give you an informed opinion on the Skydio 2. And so that's what I'm going to do today. And I'm going to let you know if it's maybe something that you should consider getting for yourself. So let's get into my review of the Skydio 2. Hey, welcome back everyone. I am Russ and this is 51 Drones. If this happens to be your first time at the channel, go ahead and browse around a bit after you watch this video, watch some of my other content, and if you find anything that makes your life more enjoyable, go ahead and subscribe and click on that notification bell so you are informed when I release a new video. So when the Skydio 2 was announced this past fall, it really stirred up the drone world because it was a product that was relatively new to most of us. Yes, the Skydio R1 was familiar to a lot of people, but the price tag was just so far out of reach for most people that we really didn't see much about it. Now, with an entirely new sleek design and a pretty striking improvement in its capabilities, the Skydio 2 immediately became the next drone to get. So like many others, I ordered it right away. Now, before I put together a review like this, I really wanted to test it out and see how different it was. And I'll tell you right now, it's different. It is not like any of the other drones that I currently own. And its use case is quite unique as compared to what I use my Mavics for. So the first thing that I did is I flew it with the controller because that's how I'm used to flying a drone. Now, I made a video on that and I'll put it right up here if you want to watch that after you're done watching this one. But what I discovered is I really do not like the feel of the controller as it feels almost toy-like. And then also the controls just aren't as fluid as what I'm used to. Now, that being said, if you're not used to the DJI controllers, you may actually find no problems with this one. Now, I did use it a few more times since that first day, and what I realized is that the more I used it, the more I got used to it, but I just still don't like the feel of it. I will say that if you want to use the Skydio 2 to get any sort of quality cinematic footage that looks smooth without having you or your subject in the frame, the controller is advised. You really can't rely on the Skydio 2 with its automation to get that type of footage. You can do it without the controller, but it's much easier with the controller. Now, the next thing that I tried out was the beacon, and I will tell you that this is the ultimate way to fly this drone. It's extremely enjoyable to just drag the drone across the sky and put it into position. That's not the only thing that I can do. You can do a lot more with it, but I think that's the coolest thing about it. Also, having the beacon allowed me to test it in some more challenging situations where it lost me with the camera, but it was able to regain tracking right away because I had the beacon. Figuring out how to use everything on the beacon did take a little bit of time, but once I understood it, I totally loved it. As I tested out how well it tracked me, I started out with some easy tasks and then I moved on to some more challenging environments. I was impressed that even though it's advertised to not do well in avoiding things that are less than 1 inch in diameter, I watched it go around several small, tiny branches many times, and it didn't even touch any of them. I cannot believe it got through there. Holy cow. Okay, I want to take you through this and I want to show you what it just got through. Alright, we're just going to hover there. But check this out. Look at what this thing just maneuvered through without hitting a single branch. Look at this. It went through here and it did not hit even a single branch. That just totally amazed me. And then lastly, I finally flew the Skydio 2 using the app on my phone. Now I know that's a little bit backwards because if you just order the Skydio 2 for $9.99, that's how you're gonna have to fly it. You're gonna have to fly it with the app and your phone. But I chose to use the other two methods first because I was mostly excited to check both of them out, especially the beacon. So I think quite a few people did just order the drone by itself right away because they wanted to just check it out and see how it worked first. And then I think people are gonna order these other things afterwards, after they decide if they wanna keep it. As far as the flight app goes, it's pretty intuitive and it's easy for anyone to understand if you've never used a drone in that way, if you've never flown with a mobile device before. You pretty much know what to do after looking at the screen for just a couple of minutes. In fact, my young daughter was able to fly it after just a 1-minute tutorial. She really had a blast doing that. My absolute favorite option when using the app is the cable mode. This is where you can set point A and then you fly over and set point B, and then the Skydio flies gracefully along that path. And what it does is it removes all of the jerkiness of obstacle avoidance as you go through tight situations, and the footage comes out looking super cool. The biggest negative I experienced when flying with the app is that the range is significantly less than when you have the beacon. It cannot track you very well, and if it loses you, it's lost you. So the beacon is a must if you're gonna be flying through any kind of obstacles. My overall experience of flying the Skydio 2 for the past 3 weeks has been very positive, and mostly because it's been an entirely new experience. It's always fun to try something for the very first time. However, there are a few issues that I do have with it. Now, number one, and this is kind of both a positive and a negative, but it's so different than what I'm used to, so there's a whole new learning curve there. So instead of being able to have fun immediately, I had to learn how to use it first. So it's a positive experience because it's fun to try something new, but it's also a negative experience if you don't have any patience. So if you're used to DJI products or other companies for that matter, it just takes a while to get comfortable with this drone. Secondly, in order for the obstacle avoidance to work effectively, the lighting needs to be pretty ideal. In low light conditions, I wouldn't trust it at all. And that means that there may be times where you want to fly, like golden hour, which is when you should be flying to get the best footage. You cannot trust the obstacle avoidance. So you can fly during those times. It's just not going to avoid the obstacles like it would if you had nice bright sunlight. Next, and this is my biggest complaint, if you're using it to track you slowly in challenging environments, the footage is just too jerky. It's not smooth and cinematic like we normally like to see because it's trying to avoid everything around it. So I wish the algorithm was a little bit better and able to make those adjustments more smoothly. And I'm hoping that's maybe something that can be improved with a future firmware update to the software. That being said, this drone is really not designed to be used in that way, to track in that way. You know, so many reviewers, including myself, tested it out on some wooded trails and stuff like that, but I really don't think that's how it should be used on a regular basis. I think the Skydio 2 needs to be free and wild and used in exciting open environments, where you're capturing things that you're doing that are really cool and exciting. Although it's totally capable of following you down a wooded path, it really shines when it has room to breathe. Lastly, and I think this is going to be a complaint for everyone, for every drone, but I really wish the battery life was better. The longest that I was able to fly was 20 minutes, which is okay in the colder temperatures that I've been flying in, but I could really see having about 4 or 5 more minutes would be really useful, especially if you're doing something where you're not really close to the drone and if you're around some obstacles and it needs to get back to you for some reason. I think just having a little extra flight time would give you some added security. Now, I will say that this is my first experience flying and recording in 4K at 60 frames per second, and it is amazing. The footage comes out stunning. This absolutely needs to be the standard on all drones from this point going forward. I was totally amazed the first time I viewed this. 4K at 60 is just amazing. I have absolutely no complaints about the video quality on the Skydio 2 at any frame rate or any resolution. I think it's getting a little bit too much negativity in some of the other reviews because I think it looks great. Yes, it's not gonna look as good as some of those more expensive drones, but what you're getting for the price, I think is totally appropriate. So would I recommend this drone for purchase for you? Well, I would say that if you are someone who regularly engages in outdoor sporting activities, then this is definitely the drone for you. It's the perfect solution to record the highlights of your adventure on the trail or on the slopes or in the wild. But if you're looking for something to capture amazing cinematic scenes or maybe commercial inspections or cinematography of some type, then you probably would be better off with something like the Mavic 2 Pro or the Phantom 4 Pro version 2, which is coming back very soon, by the way. You can get great footage in those situations with the Skydio 2, but I think it's easier and more efficient with those other drones. Overall, you would not ever be disappointed with your experience if you did get the Skydio 2, but you really need to determine what you're going to be using it for before you spend that amount of money. Spending over $1,000 is a difficult decision, and you want to be comfortable with your purchase in the long term. So I would advise you to really evaluate your use case before making that kind of investment. So I hope I gave you some information of value today that helps you in your decision. If I did, click on that thumbs up button on your way out. I really appreciate it. It does help out the channel. If you're not a subscriber yet, consider clicking on that subscribe button for future content. I would love to have you join the community. We just surpassed 75,000 subscribers, which is mind-blowing to me. So thank you to each and every one of you for making that possible. I want to sincerely thank you for watching today. Have a great day, and as always, fly safe and fly smart.